Do you think that right now the nation needs you to express that same sort of comfort and healing that some people need to heal?
Right now, I think the nation needs law and order. We can't allow a situation like happened in Minneapolis to descend further into lawless anarchy and chaos. Law and order will prevail. The looters, there's looting. You do have looting.
These people, it's Antifa. It's a lot of radical left bad people.
Exploiting this tragedy to loot, rob, attack, and menace.
You wish Trump was talking about the mob that entered Washington, D.C. No, he did not. This was Trump calling out everyone who protested after the death of George Floyd. But the protesters who stormed the Capitol yesterday, they are people who are out there to save the country. Did the color of the skin have to do anything with the way they were treated? Gently? While protesters after George Floyd's death were spoken about and treated in an extremely different manner. No, racism doesn't exist. There is no such thing called racism. The twin events, losing the Senate majority on the one side and the mob threatening the safety of elected representatives who were seated in the Congress, was just one too many for the GOP to be quiet about. So one after another, GOP's leadership came out swinging against Trump and started to distance themselves from the riots that unfolded in Washington. They finally mustered the courage to call it like it is instead of doing the usual and spinning it. But January 6th was a shameful day in American history. What you are seeing now is an article written by UK's top media house. So I'll just quickly read it for you. China's state-owned Global Times tweeted images of chaos in DC. They asked, ironically, if the destruction was a beautiful sight to behold. So that sentence was how they are mocking Nancy Pelosi because she once called the protests in Hong Kong a beautiful sight to behold. So, and then it was Russia, even Venezuela expressed its concern over acts of violence in Washington. So everyone, possibly including Trump, knew what will happen at the end of January 6th, that Biden's electors will be certified. Because objections or not, there weren't enough votes to see this effort to overturn the results through. So whatever happened yesterday was just an act to stoke a single man's ego at the cost of America's reputation inside and outside the country. Imagine the glee with which China will respond in the future if any American lawmaker starts to question their activities to stifle democratic protests in Hong Kong. Forget China. Think of how Turkey will respond to any pressure that the United States places on it in the future. The GOP may have finally realized the cost of stoking Trump's ego, but things would have never come to this place had they held a mirror to Trump long time ago. Or at the very least, they should have told him loud and clear what is acceptable and what is not during the impeachment trial. Or they should have asked him to shut his mouth when he started promoting hydroxychloroquine. But they never did, and all of them have now paid a heavy price for their silence. Donald Trump is the first president since 1932 to lose the presidency, the Senate, and the Congress in one go. The grand old party is now completely shut out of the corridors of power for another 2 years. And it's a fitting tribute to the party that reveled in exercising its raw power. Merrick Garland cannot be nominated to the Supreme Court because we are in an election year and people have to decide. But Amy Coney Barrett will be nominated even when millions of people have already voted and made a decision because, hey, the president and the Senate are from the same party.
Early polls show that a majority of Americans disagree with your approach. They want you to wait. Does that give you pause?
Well, as all of us have pointed out, we have an obligation under the Constitution, should we choose to take advantage of it, with a president of the same party as the Senate, to advance a nomination. And we will certainly do that this year. This Senate is in current Senate elected the last time in 2018, will be here till the end of the year, and the president will be here till January 20th.
But do you understand why many Americans view this as a double standard?
So there it is on tape. So if the president asks for something and the Senate is controlled by the same party, then they should move forward because that is the will of the people. Now the Democrats have the control of the Senate, Mitch McConnell, and they also have the presidency. So how many times can they borrow your statement? whenever they want to ram through a legislation that you genuinely don't like. I guess they should just do it as many times as they want it. What if the newly Democratic Senate gives statehood to DC and Puerto Rico and makes it extremely hard for GOP to ever gain the Senate Majority Leader seat? Will you call it a raw exercise of power? And even if it were, I think they can just say the exact same thing Mitch McConnell said as many times as they want. So everything that happened since November 3rd feels like a divine payback to the GOP. They are forced to the one place that they so dreaded to be locked in. That's without power in Washington. The GOP has become a truly lame duck party, and anytime in the future they want to pick up their "we are holier than though" charade, the people in the country are going to call them out. There is no way Joe Biden won without winning moderate Republican voters across the country. And if those people who cross voted for Biden in this election were looking for a reason to come back to the Republican Party, the GOP and Trump have given them enough reason yesterday to stay put. It is always the first time you vote for a party that you never voted for, it feels difficult. And then it gets progressively easier as you keep voting for the other party. January 6th may have sent a clear message to moderate Republicans that the party they once kept voting for the values it offered, a party that seriously put some effort to prioritize national security, a party that truly cared about debt and deficits, a party that cared about taxes to bring more business inside the country, a party that had a defined set of ideals, is gone. And it has been replaced with something else. It has been replaced with a party that knows how to fan and inflame the tensions. I thought Jan 6th would break the GOP into two parts, but never did I expect that this day would mark the beginning of the end of the Republican Party. They have lost power, and now they have managed to carry the worst stain ever, a stain that will never be removed from their shirt. On November 2nd, Kansas became the only channel in the world to forecast Biden will win 306 electoral votes and Trump will win 232. To make that forecast nearly a week before the actual results came out was indeed a satisfying moment for me. Now my forecasts on the two Georgia Senate races have also come to fruition. So if you still haven't subscribed, please do, as it will help expand the channel.